what are the health benefits of to have her spayed?
Basically, female dogs do not have this motherly instinct.
There are a lot of myths out there about, what happens when you spay or neuter a dog.
So there are two kinds of surgeries which we can perform.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Miss Ziggy's Dog Tribe. Today, we have an extra special guest. That this is Ziggy's vet, Dr. Shariva. And today, we're going to be talking about something that's extremely important for all pet parents to know about. Shariva, on to you.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Dr. Shariva. I'm a veterinary surgeon. I have been working with Happy Tails for the last 9 years, and I also do like my private consults. So, in case you have any questions, doubts after the session, please do get in touch with Neha so we can help you with answering those questions.
Yes, in fact, we have a comment section on our YouTube channel for every video. So in case anybody has any questions, we can always, answer the questions from the comments. Moving on to the question that I actually came to you with. So as I said, Ziggy already had 2 heat cycles. My husband and I thought that, we might want to get Ziggy mated. And that's what we came to you with. And why don't you tell us the reaction that you had when we told you that?
It was like a big no. I was like, no, Neha, you're not going to get her mated, obviously.
Even if we do feel like we want another dog, our primary concern is Ziggy's health, and that's what we came to you for, advice on.
Yeah.
So you can tell us, like, what are the health benefits of what you recommended, which is to have her spayed soon?
So basically, the biggest health advantage is it increases their lifespan. When we talk about female dogs, they don't get a menopause basically like humans do. So they will continue to get their heat cycle every 5 months or every 6 months, depending upon how their cycle is. And that definitely increases the chances of them getting mammary tumors, which we call breast cancer in humans. It increases their chances of getting pyometra, which is, like a uterine infection. So basically, after you spay a female dog, you're obviously kind of reducing the chances of them getting any infection related to the reproductive tract. So in turn, you're obviously increasing their chances of, their lifespan, basically.
Okay. And I also remember asking you, if it was all right for us to have Ziggy mated in the next cycle and then have her spayed. And could you tell us your thoughts about that also?
So
What
basically,
you
dogs.
recommend?
Yeah. So basically, dogs, like basically female dogs, do not have this motherly instinct. It is purely a human's idea or like an owner's idea where they want certain things to be done with their pet. So if you want your dog to be mated or your dog to have puppies or your dog to feel like that motherly instinct, it is purely your thought process. It is not what your female or your dog is thinking at the moment. They basically made only for procreation. It's nothing that it's not a pleasurable experience, as I would call it, because I have personally witnessed it. Obviously the male dog mounts on the female dog because she is in heat and she allows them. The next thing would be pregnancy. Female dogs have pregnancy. The cycle is for about 60 to 65 days. Again, that's not something that is very comfortable. It literally like kind of drains your dog. You have to make sure that the health is good. You have to, go for routine vet checks to make sure that the puppies are growing fine. If the puppy size is bigger than, the vaginal canal, there are chances of it leading to dystocia, which is difficult birth, or your female could be exhausted while she is delivering. And again, you would have to proceed for a C-section. So all this is not something that is like a pleasurable thing, or, where you feel like, okay, you want your pet to go through this experience. And followed by that, obviously, when you have puppies, everybody's happy, your pet is happy, you're happy. But again, to look after the puppies for another 1.5 to 2 months is hectic. You will have sleepless nights, so will your female. And then the worst part is when you have to give away those puppies. Obviously, to find homes for such puppies is extremely difficult in today's time. There are so many puppies or dogs on the street or abandoned dogs who are looking for homes. So, I mean, for you to find good homes for your own babies is going to be so difficult. So for me, getting a pet mated just because you want to have another baby is a complete no. I would definitely suggest like either you buy another puppy or the best would be adoption, because you're
Yeah.
at least giving another pet a home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, for me, however keen we actually were on having Ziggy's puppies, I think that, the health benefits of having her spayed and, all the trauma that she would have to go through that we
Correct.
discussed, that basically was just a complete no-no for us because, I mean, she is an adult now. She's just under 1.5 years old. And to us, she's still our baby and she probably always will be. Like every pet parent would probably say that,
Yeah.
and to imagine her go through pain, trauma, discomfort is something that really was upsetting to both of us. So we've
Correct.
completely switched and gone into the other.
Eliminated the idea.
Yeah, completely. So I think I can see that that's giving you a really huge smile. I'm sure Ziggy's going to be very pleased with
Definitely.
this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. There are a lot of myths out there about, what happens when you spay or neuter a dog. Firstly, how does spaying the dog affect their personality? Do they really go through a massive change?
So I wouldn't say that they will go through a massive change. After you spay or you neuter your dog, their BMR, which is the basal metabolic rate, obviously drops down. So there are
Okay.
higher chances of your pet putting on weight. So I would obviously suggest that before you consider spaying your dog, if you do have enough time, you make sure that your dog is not overweight, so that after spaying, if your pet does put on like a few grams or a few kilos, it will not make that much of a big deal. Obviously, with obesity, the pet will have like lethargy. And plus,
Mm.
if you're not making sure that you're keeping your pet active, you're not regulating the diet, and you're just doing like free range feeding, yes, the weight loss, the weight gain is going to be much more. So that is something that you need to take care of. If your pet does have like obesity, or it does have a tendency to put on weight, they're going to get extremely lethargic. So this is what I mean by personality change. Obviously,
Okay.
if you do spay your pet at a much later age, you cannot expect them to be like a puppy and jumping around like a puppy. With age, they will show like a change in personality, where they like calm down much more, and they will be like sleeping most of the time. But again, you don't necessarily have to correlate this with spaying or neutering.
You also gave me an example of your dog that you
Yes.
neutered. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, so I had to neuter my dog. I have an Indie who is now 13 years old. His name is Goofy. So I got him home when he was 2 months old. He was a rescue puppy. So I had to neuter him when he was 8 months, because he started peeing all over my house. He just learned how to lift his leg and pee. So he was going at every corner, and then, like he started like peeing all over. So my house was like literally smelling. So till he was like about 10, 11 years old, he was like a puppy. Like he would be jumping on everybody's head, jumping off the bed, on the bed. And, all of my friends who would come home, or any guests that I have, people would always be like, oh, he's 10 years. He doesn't look like, how is he so active? So again, it totally depends on how active you keep your pet, how much
Yeah.
involved you are with your pet. Because personality change, yes, because there are certain hormonal changes that they undergo. But I mean, if you are completely engrossed in your pet, you're giving them enough time, looking after their feeding, I don't think you have to worry so much about them getting lethargic or dull, or you having that fear that my puppy is not going to have like so much excitement and activity post the spay.
Okay. That's really, really reassuring to know because I think that was a big concern that we had. Now that we spoke about, the kind of age that we are looking at and the kind of age that you did the neutering for your dog, what is an ideal age and is it like the same for all breeds or does it differ?
So there is no ideal age. Now there are different studies that have come up with different age for different breeds. Now, if you go anywhere abroad, they believe in early spay neuter, which is spaying dogs and like which is basically females and males at an early age. So basically before they get their first teeth cycle. Obviously, the reason for that is to reduce the population, because even over there are a lot of shelters, abandoned dogs. So basically, they're kind of encouraging adoptions in such areas. Early spay neuter can also cause urinary incontinence, basically in females. So that's
Okay.
why I don't really like suggesting that to my clients, to my pet parents. There is a new study that has come up with different breeds, and they will exactly tell you each breed whether it should be spayed or not, whether and what age you should consider spaying or neutering.
Okay, that's amazing. So people can basically get in touch with their vet or with you to
Yes,
ask,
yes,
specifically about their
yeah.
breed. What about specifically for Shih Tzus? Because we do have a lot of Shih Tzu pet parents who do follow us.
So basically, for Shih Tzu males, it's going to be more than 6 months. You can spay them at any time. I would suggest if it's more than 8 months, it is
Hmm.
ideal because that's when males hit their puberty. For
Okay.
females, they do say more than any time after 2 years of age. But again, I wouldn't really suggest people to wait for like 2 cycles or 3 cycles. Wait till they're 2 years of age, because again, you're increasing with every heat cycle, you're increasing the chances of them getting mammary tumors. So like
Okay.
after 1 or 2 heat cycles, I would suggest that you should go ahead and get your female spayed.
In case of Ziggy, you've recommended that we waited for 2 heat cycles so we don't have the problem of incontinence without being spayed too early. And you
Correct.
said you would not recommend that we wait for any more heat cycles to go by. Can you tell us a little bit about how they're prone to getting infections when their heat cycle is on and when it's actually detectable?
So basically, a female dog will get their heat cycle every 6 months. Now, when they are on their heat cycle, the cervix opens up. A cervix is a part of a female reproductive organ. So the cervix will open up, and it's open till the time your female is in heat. While the cervix is open, there can be any infection that can enter into your uterus. And after the heat cycle, the cervix closes. Now, there are two kinds of uterine infections. Either it will be like an open infection or it'll be a closed infection. Now there's something called as a pyometra, which is pus in the uterus. There's something called as a mucometra, which is mucus in the uterus. Something called as a hemometra, which is blood in the uterus. Now if there's any infection that has gone into your dog's uterus while the dog was on heat, the cervix closes, and then your dog is going to get the heat cycle directly after 6 months. So
Hmm.
while this is happening, if your dog has an infection, the infection builds up while the six while your dog is going to come into heat cycle the next time. Now if it is an open pyometra, your dog, you will be able to see like a pus like discharge coming out of the vagina, which is easily detectable, obviously, because you will be able to see it. But in cases of a closed pyometra, when the cervix is closed, the pus just starts developing into the uterus, and there are higher chances of it rupturing. So this can be lethal. So, which is why it is very important that after your dog gets the heat cycle in within like 2 months or 3 months, do go to your vet, talk to your vet about spaying your dog, know what the advantages, disadvantages are. But in my opinion, it is must that you should, obviously depending upon what breed you have, you should be spaying your pet.
Okay. And you also said that after the heat cycle gets over, you have to wait for a couple of months. Is that so that the hormones come back to normal? They
Yes.
balance out again?
So yes. So basically, in female dogs, we like to wait at least for 1.5 to 2 months, so that there is no hormonal imbalance. Because while we talk about spaying, we do get the ovaries and the uterus out. So there are two kinds of surgeries which we can perform. One is the laparoscopic surgery, where only the ovaries will be taken out, and then the uterus kind of just gets atrophied. The other surgery is a conventional surgery. While you just open up the body, you'll take like a smaller incision, you get both the ovaries and the uterus out, and then it is just sutured in a way where there are no sutures that are seen outside. Basically, it's dissolving sutures.
Okay. And how long would you say it normally takes, let's say, like a small dog, like a Shih Tzu, to recover from a surgery like this?
Now, with anesthesia, the good part is because everything's so advanced, we use gas anesthesia, which is much more safer. It's much more quicker for recovery. So your pet will be recovered in about like a few hours, I would say, post surgery, and it'll be like happily wagging its tail and going home. For surgery, though, for the wound healing, it at least takes about 5 to 7 days for the wound to heal completely. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say if you're talking about the surgical wound wise, I would say like approximately a week.
So, I've also been talking to a couple of other pet parents. There are lots of mixed things that people have to say about spaying and neutering. And a lot of people are like, you know what, it's not natural. And I'll wait till it's a medical requirement. So what are your thoughts on that?
So basically, spaying and neutering, because it's an elective procedure, I usually advise that it's best to do it when your pet is in good health.
Yeah.
Why would you want to wait till your pet has some kind of like a pathological condition where there are risks of anesthesia, obviously increase, there are risks of surgery. So since it's going to be an elective surgery, you might as well get it done when your pet is active, healthy, so that the recovery is quicker, the surgical wound heals faster. So yeah, that would be my opinion.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I just have one more question for you, Shariva, and that is, what can we, as now that we've decided to get Ziggy spayed, what can we do in advance to prepare her for the fact that she's going to go through surgery and there are going to be changes in her diet, etc.?
So before the surgery, you don't really have to do anything major. Just a couple of days before surgery, you will have to give her a bath, maybe like a trim, just so that, the surgical site post her surgery is not going to get dirty, the hair is not going to get matted. At least 10 days post the surgery, the site cannot be getting wet. So you can start making her wear a t-shirt or something that can basically cover the side. Or the other option would be an Elizabethan collar, the funnel shaped collar. You get different sizes, different, whether you get like a soft one, hard one. So a lot of people know that their pets are going to be like licking the surgical site, and if they won't be okay with like wearing clothes, then you can get them used to wearing that for a couple of hours a day before the surgery, so that when your pet comes home after the surgery is not too anxious when you're trying to do something new. 10 to 12 days post the surgery, when there's complete recovery, your vet will ask you to start basically reducing the food to at least like by at least 10%, so that
Okay.
even if there are chances of her putting on weight, we're trying to minimize that since the beginning. And I think that's about it, and you're sorted. Yes, there will be some medication that will be given, some painkillers, antibiotics, so you obviously need to know how to medicate your pet. I mean, you guys are expert at that, so I don't need to tell you, but this is for everyone else who cannot medicate their pet without adding the medicine in their food. I would really want you to start doing that from day one, because this is important. And I think, yeah, that's about it. You don't really
Okay.
have to worry much.
And how soon after the surgery is over can you resume like your daily walks and stuff with your dog?
So in fact, the walks, they can go for walks like what I call is like a susu potty walk. They can go the same day itself, which will be like about 2 to 5 minutes, where they just do their
Yeah.
business and come back. Next day also, depending upon how their activity is, how much they've recovered from anesthesia, you can take them for like anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes again for a susu potty walk. And I think from next day onwards, they're back to normal. I haven't really had any complaints from anyone, at least till now, where the dog is not eaten at all, or like is being really lethargic or anything like that, because we are obviously controlling the pain.
Yeah.
So unless the dog is like super fussy and you're not allowed to give like certain kinds of meat or anything like that, I think they resume back to normal the next day itself. But you have to make sure that you're not like exerting them too much. You cannot take them for like a 1 hour walk or anything, which you are doing. So for the next 1 week or so, you kind of have to like slow it down. So maybe if you're doing like a half an hour thing, you probably just do like 10 or 15 minutes, and you gradually
Yeah.
increase it as in how your vet advises. Yeah.
Great. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of this information with us. I'm sure that our pet parents who are watching are going to find it extremely helpful. And
Thanks.
as I mentioned before, please feel free to put down any questions that you guys have on the comment section, and we'll be more than happy to answer between Shariva and me. And of course, we're going to be sharing a lot of content about Ziggy's experience of getting spayed, so that you guys can watch, ask questions, and learn from that as well. And I really hope that these videos are helping. Make sure you stay tuned to our next video, which is going to be again something very, very interesting. But thank you so much for watching, and do subscribe and like and share our video if you found it useful. Thank you so much, Dr. Shariva, for being here and
Thank
answering all
you
our
for having me.
questions.